Hey guys, Marta Locklear here. I wanted to come on today and take a deep dive into Refined Times KT Mary mobile presets. That's why I'm in vertical format today, because I want this video to be so you can watch it on your phone and you'll see exactly how it's going to look while you're editing your very own images and the Lightroom app with Refined Times KT Mary mobile presets. KT was kind enough to give us her very own images that she shot when she's traveled around the world, sneak peeks of her editorials, sneak peeks of her clients sessions, and she handed them over to us unedited for us to edit for you, so you can see exactly how she would edit her images for her social media feeds. If you follow KT, I'm going to put a little tag here. You know that she likes to share in stories. She shares sneak peeks of her shoots. She shares tons of sneak peeks of her travels. And if you didn't know, if you look at her Instagram feed, that is iPhone, digital, and film. Most of you probably think it's film, but it's actually a good mix of both, including her iPhone images, and these are the presets that she uses to edit those. So we wanted to give you a deep dive into that. Real quick before I get started, I want you to take a moment and click that little subscribe button down below if you haven't subscribed to us already, so you don't miss a single video coming up, and we have a lot coming up. So go ahead and do that real quick, and now let's jump into my phone and take a look at those presets. Now that we're on my phone, let's go ahead and go into the Lightroom app. Here you can see I've already got a folder of all of KT Mary's photos. This is unedited images. We have a little bit of everything. We have Africa, we have editorial shoots, we've got the Maldives. Let's see, where is that at? We got the Maldives in here. Here's our fashion editorial that we did for our campaign. Some client sneak peeks that she likes to do, another editorial, and just a little bit of everything, some travel photos. So for those of you that are just doing travel or lifestyle, here's behind the scenes shoot of our video campaign we shot back in October. And then of course a recent session, a family session she did in the Florida Keys. So let's just go ahead and get started editing. Let's start. I'm not going to do everything. Obviously it would take us forever. But I'm going to go ahead. Let's start with this dress photo. Gorgeous image. It's almost just genius by itself because hello, those dresses. But what I'm going to do is just scroll across the bottom, and I'm going to go to presets. And what I like to do is just go ahead and tap through and look at the tones on the image and see what's going to fit my feed the best, because as we all know, throughout the year and the seasons and whatever we're shooting the most at that time, our tones sort of change. It can lean warm or lean cool, and you need to balance it out. This gives you those options to kind of change your tone a little bit throughout the year. And I like to just pick which one I feel works best on the image and then fits my feed as well. And then you're just going to click one. I'm going to go with KT4, and I'm going to click the little check button at the bottom. And that's applied the preset. And there's unedited and edited. And honestly, I really wouldn't have to touch anything. This was a well white balanced and exposed image, so we really don't need to do anything, and I would move on. And to save it and export it, you just click the little square at the top with the arrow and then save to camera. And I like to do maximum because that gives me flexibility to use the images wherever I would like. Let's go ahead and do something else. Let's go ahead and do these shoes here. And you can see the white balance is a little off on this, maybe a little underexposed, so that'll be good for us to play with. Again, I'm going to click presets, and I'm going to click through and kind of see what fits the tone I like. And I like 5 and 3 on this. I'm actually going to go with 3. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and adjust the color first. I want to cool it down. 3 adds pink, but I want the pink tone, but I don't want it to be super warm and pink. So I'm just cooling it down a little. And from there, I can adjust the light and maybe the contrast a little, because this was a little bit of a hazy image, and the contrast will just give it a little more pop. Before, after. Doesn't change the image a ton, but just enough that it enhances the image and makes it look beautiful for your feed. So this would be feed worthy. And then I'd export it from there. I'm not going to do that every time just to save time. Let's go ahead and do a very cool backlit image. So let's go ahead and straighten, because I'm a photographer and it's the first thing I notice. And Then I'm going to click on the presets and do the same thing that I did before. I know I'm going to have to warm this image up quite a bit. So right now I'm just looking for the tones in the blue and the tones in the green that I want to go with. I don't think I want to go very pink on this, but I do like two. Two looks beautiful. And it actually keeps me from having to warm it up too much. So same thing, I'm going to adjust the light just a little because I want to retain that sky because it's amazing. So I'm going to adjust the exposure down a little from the preset, and instead I'm going to lift from the shadows. And what that does is bring up, see, it brings up the trees and his suit just enough, but leaves those clouds alone. So that way we're lightening the image without blowing out the sky, and I can tweak from there. And then we're going to switch to color, and with color I'm going to warm it up. And I think I might even add a tiny little bit of black in this, just to give it some more pop. Before, after. I mean, that's amazing. And it really just took me a few seconds. So if you're a photographer and you're trying to do sneak peeks on the go, maybe on a wedding day and you're taking 5 minutes to kind of throw up some slides for your clients or the vendors you're working with, you can see just how fast you can edit these for even your stories, not just your feed. Let's go ahead and do another image. Scroll through. There's just so much good stuff here to play with. Definitely want to do this because this I've done a few times and it's amazing. So let's, first things first, let's straighten that up a little bit, and you can see I'm just using the crop tool. There is a geometry tool in here as well, just like your main Lightroom, but you need to have the paid version of this. So if you don't have the paid version, you won't have this option. But that would allow you to fix your verticals and stuff as well, just like the desktop version. I'm going to go to presets, same thing. I'm going to click through and see what works and gives the tones that I like. I know for me, the 5 works the best because 5 pulls a little the extra gold out of things, and I wanted to keep the gold, but I didn't want it to be so apparent. So then I'm going to scroll across, and just like before, I'm going to adjust my temperature. I'm pulling the temp down. I'm going to cool it down, and the reason I'm doing that, I'm watching her skin. She was very warm here. I'm not paying attention to the gold right now. Right now I am just focused on her skin tone and getting it so it's more of a neutral color. And you can see the gold is still there. It's still very glamorous, but it's not just in your face gold. And that way she stands out against the gold as well. And then I'm going to adjust these highlights a little just to kind of bring that dress back in. Maybe a touch of exposure. And let's see, before, after, before, after. And of course in the Lightroom app, if you really want to get technical, if you want to do, you know, a heavier edit on something, the image is just amazing, you can go into your color. All you do is click this mix right here, and you've got all your color options so you can tweak things. So if I wanted to tweak the golds a little bit, I could do that here, just to give you a little extra depth, but I'm not going to go into that today. I just want to go ahead and edit some images for you guys. I want to do one more of this because I have seen this in black and white and it's amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and just click through the black and whites and decide which one I'm going to work with. I'm going to work with 3. And same thing, increase exposure. And the highlights retained really well on this one, so I'm just going to leave it alone and show you the before, after, gorgeous image. Let's go ahead and do one of these from this shoot here. This is from our Bluff shoot in Mendocino, California. This is our campaign shoot for the launch of her presets. And, you know, it's a backlit image and a little cool. I'm just going to click through the presets and decide which one I want to work with. The black and whites look amazing on this as well. I really like 2. 2 and 5 I like, but I think I'm going to go 2 because it's almost a 1 click on this. And as you can see just right here, that's 1 click. I haven't done anything else to this image. I literally could just go on with that. But in the sake of keeping up with KT's coloring, I'm going to pull a tiny bit of the magenta out. And maybe a smidge of the warmth. There you go. before, after. Let's see here. Let's do a black and white. Ooh, horizons. Let's see here. And presets. Scroll down to the black and white. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna go with, let's go ahead and do 2 on this one to make a little more of a contrasty one. I'm gonna go with the light, bring it up just a little, and I think I'm gonna bring up the shadows just a smidge. So still high contrast, but it brings up the shadows in the front of the dress. I keep pointing to my phone like you guys can see me pointing, so I have to remember that. So the front of the dress. So before and after. Let's do a couple more. Let's go ahead and do a travel photo. For those of you that might be doing some travel and want to see, let's go ahead and adjust that horizon. And see, this is where the geometry, I'm going to use it today just so you guys can see what it's capable of. So if you do want to pay for the version, you can. So you can see here, these verticals are kind of leaning back. And I like to do constrain crop because it just goes ahead and crops it for you. So what this does is allows me to bring these verticals in and make them less falling off the image. See the difference there? It just kind of straightens it out for you. So let's go ahead and click on presets. Ooh, I like 3 on that one. That was kind of pretty. But I'm going to go with 1 today. Go ahead and adjust warmth. Maybe add a little magenta in there. Light. I'm going to contrast it up because I think with travel photos it's nice to have that. And I think we have a little bit of haze from the sun back there in the camera. So there's our before, after, before, after. Let's go ahead and do for you stationers, calligraphers that like to shoot your own work. Let's go ahead and do this for you. Again, I'm going to use this geometry tool just so I can fix the perspective on this. We were shooting this kind of fast, so I didn't line it up perfectly we didn't line it up perfectly when we shot it, but that gets us so it's a perfectly straight. I'm just using the lines of the stationery to make sure it's relatively straight. There we go. So there's before, after. So it just straightens it up. It just makes it look a little more professional. I'm going to click presets. Same thing. Just go through the and here, if 2 blows out a little bit because of the whites, it's a very lit preset. You can just dial it back in exposure. So don't worry about that. If you love the tones of 2, we can fix that when we go into exposure. Ooh, I like 5 and 4 on this one. 5 is a nice clean preset on this, and the 4 gives us a little bit of that vintage fill, or film fill. So let's go ahead and go with 5. And you can see it's a little tiny bit bright in spots, so I'm just going to dial this back a little. Maybe add a little contrast in. Actually, there we go. So there's before and there's after. And then, of course, you have your healing tools. So we have some spots in here. Oh, that's too big. And you can use this to touch up little spots and things that you need to fix and clean up. I mean, the Lightroom app is just kind of amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to dial back 2 if you prefer the tones of 2. And you can see what it is this preset already had a lot in it as far as exposure goes. And then from there, maybe you'll adjust the color just a smidge. And that can actually be warmed back up a little bit or exposed up a little bit, and there you go. Let's do one of the close-up ones because I think these are really fun to play with, and I think it might help those of you that are calligraphers or stationers or just stylists, and that way you can have, I mean, one just straight off, you really don't need to do anything with it. Oh, I do like 5 on that. I'm going to go with 1. And there's before, after, before, after. I mean, it's really a one click. You really don't need to do anything with it. You can, of course, adjust it, but I think it looks amazing just like that. Now let's do a couple of these gorgeous images from her recent session in the Florida Keys. Let's go ahead and do this one. It's a nice, you can see it's open shade, so it's a cooler image. I'm just going to click through. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See which one I like. I think I like 2 on this. And let's straighten that horizon. And just adjust. I'm not going to adjust. I'm pulling the exposure down just a little because I don't want to blow out the, see, if you look at the sky right at the horizon line, it's a little bright. So I'm pulling that back a tiny bit. And then I'm going to lift from the shadows. And that's going to lighten that tree and lighten the shadows around the couple or the family a little bit. And then from there, I can adjust, maybe add a little bit of magenta. Beautiful. Before, after, before, after, and that looks amazing. I'm exporting this. Let's do this gorgeous sunset image and then we'll call it a day. Same thing, just gonna, I mean, the sunset image almost doesn't need anything, but let's go ahead and edit it. You know what? Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with 3 because it actually has some magenta in it, and just adjust from there. Maybe add a little contrast back in. And fix that horizon. Before, after, before, after. I hope that helps you guys understand the presets a little better and shows you exactly how to edit with the presets. And I hope you have a wonderful day. If you haven't done so already, make sure you click that little button down below and subscribe to our channel. Thanks, bye.